we have Miss Janet.
Because people are around, so I'm going to use a different mic. Hello. Usually I play music from Chicago, and you were talking about how politicians seem to be corrupt, but I'm from Illinois, and that's just how it is. I mean, our politicians make our license plates, or governors, you know, that seems totally normal for me. I don't know what you're talking about.
They tight with the people.
The music you hear in the background, I normally play Chicago music, but I am playing music from the Howman of South Africa, Francois Leroux, because he's a beautiful musician, and I just saw him recently when he came through here, and I just like how it sounds, so I was going to play this while I was reading, and I'm going to read one poem, because it's long, and I'll just do one. A month or two ago, here I read a poem, an old poem of mine called One Summer, and it was about traveling to different places in the States and life and learning different things. And I actually got a compliment on it, and that compelled me to write this new poem, and it is longer. And new poem, yeah, and it's called One Spring. Good byline for it is 7 countries in 7 days. So it's in 7 parts. Part number 1, Austria. When walking through the 60-degree slanted streets in Austria, you understand quickly why walking Europeans are thinner than us fat Americans. We drive everywhere and then pay money to use a gym to help us lose weight gained from this rich life. I saw Mozart references everywhere, and it was great to be in Salzburg, the town where this genius musician was born. But while looking for a place to eat, I saw Salzburger listed on many diner signs. I asked if this was a kind of hamburger, and they told me no, it's a reference to being from Salzburg. And I laughed and I said, well, I guess Mozart was a Salzburger. But being in the Alps, everywhere was an inclined hike. I tried to climb a mountain in the snow in my sandals. So I attempted relief for my aching joints by resting in the Gastein Curative Tunnel. You see, this tunnel is a tourist spot because miners would feel rejuvenated after working in it until they realized that the tunnel was loaded with radon. And sure, long-term exposure might be bad, but after sweating buckets of water from laying down in those mines for only 20 minutes, you actually feel better, rejuvenated, and ready to climb a mountain tomorrow. 2. Germany. We left Hitler's home country to go to Germany's Dachau to see one of the first concentration camps in existence. Drank beer on the train ride from Munich, something Hitler would have frowned upon, and after seeing Washington, D.C.'s Holocaust Memorial, that was complete with a train car, a Warsaw Ghetto walkway, glass bins of collected hairbrushes and shoes, I was so totally stoked for the impact of actually being there. But once we passed under the Arbeit macht frei sign, we walked into and saw blank halls with only occasional spots of original chipped paint. We'd walk from room to room, each containing only large hanging posters with occasional images of data in German and in English. You couldn't feel the gravity of life in these prisons for these camps. And only when we got to the last room and saw a scale model of the entire grounds as it was during the Holocaust, well, everywhere we had walked that entire day was only about 1/5 of the size of the camp. That was the only way I saw the monstrous size of this monstrosity. Later, at a Munich bar, we were there and these old German men yelled at us in German because an American-sounding song played on the jukebox. I didn't even know where the jukebox was, and the bartender yelled at the regulars in German that she was the one that chose that song. But looking back, I have to admit that it was cool to be yelled at in another language by men from the other side of the world. 3. Italy. After walking through the ruins of Pompeii, after Mount Vesuvius did its damage in 79 AD, after crossing the Tyrrhenian Sea, I actually hugged a column in Sicily from Agrigento's preserved Greek column ruins. After circling the Colosseum in Rome and walking on those cobblestone roads through the Vatican City, we had bad pizza in Napoli before making our final stop to party in the watery town of Venice. The buildings were colorful and the water was everywhere. Stairs went from the sidewalk straight to the sea, and for the tourists there was a row of gondolas waiting to take you for a water ride. But as I said, this is a tourist-trap town and everything has a price. The only trinket I bought was a glass globe of grappa, which really, that stuff tastes awful. And because we didn't know if we could take alcohol over country lines, we bought a bottle of diet soda to mask this grappa and chug it down so that they wouldn't take or confiscate our glass globe. Of course, no one searched us for contraband, but we didn't know better, and it was a good excuse for drinking that grappa, because I still have that bottle, and I still look at it every day, and it makes me smile. For in France. Saw beautiful buildings in the beautiful city of Paris, and people were nice to us, even though we didn't know a single word in French. But we had money, and currency is the only language we all understand. Visited the Eiffel Tower, the Louvre, the Notre Dame, but the one thing I remember the most is that when sitting at cafes outdoors, tables for two always had the two chairs not opposite each other, but facing the street. To people watch. I still do that here now, if I get the chance. You can hear someone talking when they're right next to you, and this way you can look out and watch the world. 5, the Netherlands. The architecture in Brussels was really amazing, but in Amsterdam we searched for pot, but the only place you could find it was coffee shops, and coffee is not the drug for me. The man at the hotel looked at my passport and saw my Dutch name and pronounced Kuypers differently, so we left for the streets to find some nightlife. Oh, we did see some prostitutes on display for business while posing in literal window boxes of buildings at eye level as you walk down the street. But beyond that, the bars closed at 10 p.m. And lucky you, every bar had fewer than 4 people in it. So at one bar we ordered 1 round of drinks before they closed that cost us nearly 30 euros. And then the only other option we had was to go to a Mexican restaurant and get a half a liter of Heineken, as long as we ordered food. The only food we got was tomato soup, which was a fitting nightcap for a town most tourists rave about. And sure, we saw the Anne Frank house and the Vincent van Gogh Museum, but at this point, it was really time to move on. 6, Luxembourg. In a country with too many letters in its name to fit on most maps, this tiny little place tried to make up for it with culture and history, which was a relief when the weather actually became warmer, and it was the first time on my trip that I was able to wear shorts. And for all the studying I had done about different cultures, the only thing I didn't learn was that women in European countries, like Luxembourg, never, and I mean never, wear shorts. So, here I was walking down the street, and the women were looking at me like I was a whore, and all the businessmen all gave me perverted grins. Mortified and unable to change, we stopped at a bar for lunch. I tried to hide my legs, as then a huge flux of male workers came in for lunch. I mean, I liked Luxembourg, but on this one day, all I could do was everything in my power to hide my legs from the rest of the world. Last one, 7, this is Switzerland. And sure, I might have a Swiss Army knife, and sure, you might have a love for chocolate, but when you get away from the Alps, which are 60% of the land, the terrain looks like the Midwest United States. Away from Zurich, the terrain looks like Ohio, Indiana, Iowa. Same hills, same foliage, same expanse. Looking for something new. And all that remains to carry was a big backpack of trinkets and far too many memories to cherish before they slip away. Thank you. Yeah.
Give it up for Janet!